Hello and welcome to the show that fuels your appetite for adrenaline and alternative sports. This week we're in Mexico for highlights from round one of the X Fighters World Tour. We'll have action from the world's best snowboarders in China. We look ahead to the Indoor Archery World Cup, and we're in Abu Dhabi for Women's World Bowling. But first, we're off to Austria for a remarkable ski challenge.
Well, they had to wait a long time for the snow here in Lech in Austria, and then one day before, probably the longest skiing race in Europe, more than 30 centimetres new snow fell. But the continuing snowfall contributed to making it impossible to run the race over the original 22-kilometre course with its 5,500 metres difference in altitude. But the 1,000 or so skiers still had a race to compete in, albeit a shortened one.
We had to change from the longest ski race in the world to probably the shortest one, but I think it was the only option that we had at such short notice. I think we've done our best.
All the snow and the shortened course meant that the competitors will now set off at 10-second intervals from Oberlech to Lech in Schilgottal, about 2 kilometres in total, a challenge in particular due to the diminished visibility. However, former international footballer Jens Lehmann is still a sportsman through and through and hurtles off down the course. And former pro cyclist Jan Ulrich has swapped his bike for skis. Everyone agrees today's short course is extremely difficult. The record holder over the long distance remains the Olympic champion Patrick Ortlieb, but how will he and the rest of the competitors get to grips with the short course from the so-called Wiesenring here in Austria? Well, not long after, there is nothing for it but to abandon the race. Lech is sinking in snow, visibility is too bad, and after a number of crashes, there's no way the race can be continued. But they'll be back next year to take part in what's probably Europe's longest skiing race. 22 kilometres and 5,500 metres of altitude difference. For now, though, the 400 skiers that made their way down to the finish will be awarded the prizes. Fastest woman on the day was 19-year-old Austrian Alexandra Scherer, second Julia Starling, and in third place Karina Nasser. The quickest man was Matthias Calavini, behind him in second Lucas Batalog, and third Heinz Kiesling. Beijing, China hosts the first air and style snowboard event of the season. The legendary Bird's Nest Stadium is a very fitting venue of the biggest snowboard festival in the world. The conditions are perfect for the riders to battle it out for the $100,000 prize purse. Air and Style started in 1993 and it's now a 3-stop tour travelling from Beijing to Innsbruck to the final in LA. 24 of the best big air snowboarders from around the world ride down the 165-metre ramp and hit the 20-metre high man-made kicker covered in nitrogen-blown snow. Snowboarding's grown and grown in China since Air and Style first visited the Bird's Nest in 2010. And this year's audience were not disappointed with legends like Stale Sandberg, Japan's Kodono, a Creekside triple cork 1620 mute. The win of the 2015 Beijing Air and Style goes to Maxime Parent from Bromont, Canada. His first two jumps of the super final scored him 182.99 with his frontside 1440 mute, securing him his first Air and Style victory.
I've actually never podium on Air and Style, so I'm so happy tonight that I made it on a podium and even first place. So I'm really happy, and I mean the final was really not easy. Yoshika alone throwing a backside 16 triple cork. That was such a sick trick, and so I had to pull off the frontside triple 14 and got the gold medal, so I'm really happy.
You know, it's always tricky when there's two runs that get scored and then you fall on your first run, so then the pressure is on, and thankful to land that second run, and then the third run run was just a blessing, and I landed that trick for the first time in like a scaffolding big air contest, and feels amazing to start my season off with a podium.
Well, Beijing has been an amazing host for the first event of the season. The level of riding has once again risen and set a precedent for the rest of the tour. And you can catch extended highlights from Beijing on this show over the coming weeks. There's no other city quite like Las Vegas. It's become America's playground. It's where big kids from all over the world come to roll the dice. And for the past 50 years, the best with bows and arrows have been arriving in their thousands. And this year, the Vegas Shoot is celebrating its golden anniversary. After events in Marrakesh, Morocco, Bangkok, Thailand, and Nîmes in France, more than 3,000 archers ventured to Las Vegas for the fourth and final stage of this World Cup tour, which also served as the indoor World Cup final. Join us on this show over the coming weeks for highlights from all 4 stops.
Plenty more news next week, but now we're off to Mexico for the X Fighters World Series. And before all the action, let's get a track preview from Ronnie Renner.
Great to be back in Mexico City for the 2015 Red Bull X Fighters World Tour kickoff. 22 million people in this city, and I love them all. And what I also love is what they eat, and it's this food right here. Uno papas, por favor.
¿Con chile?
Mucho chile. Soy Ronnie Renner. Yeah. Mucho, mucho. Arriba. Yeah. Woo. Man, that was spicy, but I know something that tastes a lot better. It's the dirt here in Mexico. It's crazy the things you'll do when 38,000 people watch you win an event. Happens to be the biggest crowd at Red Bull X Fighters, but the smallest layout. So small, in fact, that you have to hit the tunnels just to get all the jumps in. Wow, that's a lot of ramps. When I used to ride, there was only 3 ramps here. Now there's 6, but it's still the basics right here. This 23-meter ramp, which sends you longer than 2 buses far. Come out of the tunnel, which is pretty interesting. You go in there, come out to an exploding crowd. Oh, the almighty super kicker. It's super steep, obviously. This one's unique because it's on a platform coming out of the stadium. Should make things interesting. Now this is something unique. 3 different quarter pipes. You have 1 over here, 2 over here. More options of quarter pipes than I've ever seen in freestyle motocross. This right here is where I park my bike and call it quits. It's the quarter pipes, and this is where the evolution of freestyle motocross has continued to grow. This quarter pipe here goes to the left. You're gonna see guys doing flares, and not only flares, but also flares with combinations. Now this quarter pipe here sends riders to the right. And the only guy that I know that can do this one justice is Thomas Pages, who just released a video of him doing an alley-oop flare. Can't wait to see that. And this quarter pipe here, what is this thing? I mean, I was riding around here thinking they just misplaced it. I have no idea where it goes, and I could only imagine what the guys are gonna do with it. So there you have it, 1 central landing for all 6 of these ramps, a perfect playground for the Fab Four. And when I say Fab Four, I mean 4 of our past Red Bull X Fighters World Tour champions in one place, doing battle with 8 other riders. I can't wait to see this battle. How about you?
So with the scene set, we'll be back in Mexico for all the best action from round 1 after the break. But still to come, we've got highlights from the Women's World Bowling Championships in Abu Dhabi. See you in a couple of minutes.